Okay, let me get comfortable because we got to chit chat. So I wanted to address a question that I've gotten numerous times, which is why we are deciding to keep our son anonymous on social media. Whew. Hey guys, Ijeoma Kola here. Thanks so much for tuning into my channel. So in this video, I'm going to touch on something that I thought I touched on in a previous video, but you know, I realize that not everybody watches every single video. So it's sometimes good to just have one question answered in one video. So we're gonna sit down. I'm already seated. You should probably grab a seat. We're gonna talk about our decision to keep our son off of social media. And what that means is that I'm not posting his face on YouTube, on Instagram, not sharing his name. I feel like your identity is really like your name and your face, and so I'm not sharing either of those. So my husband and I had come to this decision separately, but then also together. So we each had our different reasons for why we didn't want to have our son on social media, and then we kind of discussed it and came together and ultimately decided that was what was best for us. I don't think that there's anything wrong with other people deciding to have their kids on social media, just something that we had decided not to do for ourselves. So I'm going to give you the 3 reasons that we have decided to keep our son off of social media. Before I get into it, if it's your first time here, guys, hey, what's up? Hello, my name is Ijeoma Kola. I am the mother of a 4.5, almost 5-month-old. If it's your first time here, or your second time, or just your 50th time, and you just, you know, haven't yet hit the subscribe button, go ahead and click that button so that you don't miss any more videos. I'm super open and transparent about a lot of things that have to do with myself, but I'm very private when it comes to my son. And so I think this has confused some people, and they don't really understand how come you feel comfortable talking about everything under the sun, but you won't show your kid, it's not that serious. Well, for us, it's something that we actually decided was serious. So as I mentioned earlier, there are 3 reasons why we chose not to share our son online, and they are privacy, security, and consent. So I'm going to go through them one by one and kind of break down what I mean by each of those things. So number 1 is privacy. What privacy means really is just keeping things to ourselves. So I am very much an open book. I've talked about a lot of personal things in my life. You know, I've talked about tampons with my mom. I've talked about how my parents literally disowned me the first time that I traveled to Kenya. I talked about living together with my husband before we were married, even though we were both Christian, and how kind of we thought about that and how that played out, and etc. I've shared a lot of private, intimate moments, but I think having a child is it's just such a big deal, at least for me. And if you don't know, we tried for over a year to conceive, and it was so painful trying to will my body to have a baby, and it was just really challenging to get pregnant. And when we eventually did get pregnant, I was so, I can't describe, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get emotional. I can't describe how happy and how grateful I was that God gave us the gift of being able to have a child. And so for that reason, I think that I'm just really protective of him, because a lot of prayer went into creating our child. A lot of tears went into creating him. Then delivering him was also super emotional. So yeah, there's some things in life that I'm okay, talking about, and you know, here's what you can learn from, but I don't actually see anything that you can learn from knowing my child's name or what his face looks like. So it's just really precious to me, and so that's something that I want to keep to myself personally. I've blogged before about the emotional toll of authenticity, and when you give so much of yourself, and when you share so much of yourself online to people who you don't really know at all, although you cultivate a relationship with them online and you kind of have this camaraderie where people feel like they know you, I think it can be really tough to set boundaries and have boundaries. And one of the very few boundaries that I've put up as regards to what I share online is my son. And so this is just something that I feel is private to me, and I just want to keep that to myself. So that's one thing. Secondly is security. So someone had asked me once, are you not sharing your son because you're in Kenya, not in the US anymore, and you're afraid of something happening? No, this has nothing to do with being in Kenya. I don't know if you guys are aware, but there is a world of people online who use pictures of kids on the internet, and I hope this doesn't scare you, but who use pictures of kids on the internet for child pornography. That is a thing that happens. And I read this one article, I forgot which news outlet it was on, but it was kind of exposing people who did this, and then it even talked to a couple of mommy and child influencers, and talked about the precautions that they took to protect themselves from child pornography. And one of the things I distinctly remember, one of the things that came up is that this one blogger took pictures of her kids but always had them in sunglasses, because apparently pedophiles like connect with kids like through their eyes or something. I don't remember exactly, but that article like had me shook, and I was just like, yeah, I just like don't really need anybody thinking about my child and or children like in that way. So like, let me just like not have them like all over the internet. And another incident happened that made this like really salient for me. So one time last summer, actually, like I was hanging out with my nephews at a science museum, and we were minding our business, and I kind of like look up and I see a little girl who I recognized, and I was like, wait, how do I know this girl? And it occurred to me that she was the daughter of a blogger, and she posts her regularly. It turned out that that girl was on a class trip with her school, so I now knew where this girl was. I knew her name, and it occurred to me that like I could, if I was a weirdo, like I could just be like, hey, so and so, like, oh my gosh, I like see you on Instagram. And the girl's like 7 or 8, like she's on a field trip with her classmates. Like she's not trying to have somebody recognize her in the middle of the streets. And so for me, you know, I don't mind when people recognize me, but I don't want, you know, our kids to grow up in a world where, whether someone has good intentions, because I was obviously about to kidnap her, but if someone there could have had bad intentions. And if I don't want a situation where my kids are subjected to more people knowing them than need to know them. And you know, it's a product of the world that we live in now, and especially I think as my audience gets larger and larger. If I only had like an audience of like 1,000 followers or subscribers, like, you know, it wouldn't matter that much. But as my audience continues to grow and get larger, there's just more people who you're exposed to, and I would just hate a situation where I would put my kid at risk, at danger, because I had shared them online. Again, like this is really stemming from like that one incident where I was like, yo, if I was a weirdo, like I could just like say this girl's name, and it would just, I just feel like it'd be weird. And then you have to explain, then the teacher would have to like figure out like how to tell their parent that like, oh yes, while we were out on our school trip today, like a stranger approached your daughter and said blah blah blah. Like that's just, I don't want no smoke. So for me, it's just easier to keep him anonymous so that weirdos don't know his name and don't randomly, I don't know, like try to abduct him in random situations. And the third reason why we decided to keep him anonymous online is because of consent, or rather lack of consent. So this is actually like really like Jonathan's point, so I wish he was here to explain it. But you know, when I create content, when I take a picture of myself, like I'm agreeing to be filmed, I'm agreeing to be photographed. When I ask Jonathan or request for Jonathan to be in my content, whether it's photos or videos, you know, he sometimes says no, and then I often respect that and, you know, don't include him. A kid, and especially a baby, doesn't have any way of agreeing to be included in content. So then you kind of think about like, you know, 10 years from now, when the kid gets his own phone, I don't know if it'll be 10 years, more like 16 years from now, when he gets his own phone, and he joins social media, like, does he want to see pictures of himself on his mom's Instagram, like in his onesies and in his wearing no clothes and in the bath? Would he be embarrassed by that? You know, there's like no real way for us to know. So, you know, we're kind of just avoiding that. And I think, you know, when he gets to an age where he can understand what taking a picture means and what sharing a picture means to the internet, you know, maybe we'll start asking him like if he feels comfortable doing that, and if so, you know, maybe we will reevaluate. But as of now, he really can't consent to having his photo taken. He can't consent to being in stories. So we've decided to just not show his face and not share his name. So I've been doing sponsored content around motherhood, and I've had to think of like clever ways to like show the kid using something without actually showing the kid using something, and so far it's been fine. But for me, all of the campaigns that I've done around motherhood or like baby stuff has to do with like how this product makes my life easier, as opposed to like how it's something that's for him. So it still has to do with me, because, you know, this is my blog, this is my YouTube channel, this is my online audience. And so I feel like as long as the stories have to do with me and like my evolution as a mother, my evolution as a parent, then I'm still respecting his privacy, his security, and his inability to give consent right now. So I don't know if anyone was gonna ask, but I just thought, you know, let me insert why I've been showing the back of his head and his little foot and a little bit. I'm really like not trying to like tease you guys with stuff. I know that people would want to see more, and unfortunately, you know, it's really just not gonna happen at this time. So yeah, I would love to know if you guys have decided to put your kids on social media, why or why not. If you have, what are some ways that you have thought about protecting them from, you know, weird people online, stranger danger? You know, like, how have you gone about that? Have you had that conversation with them? Have you thought about consent? I would love to know what you guys are thinking, especially parents, or even if you're not a parent, but you've kind of already thought about what this would be like for your future kids if you are blessed enough to have them. I would love to have a discussion in the comments, like, let's chit chat. And again, this is just what we decided was right for us. I have no judgment for people who post their kids online. I actually love liking people's photos of their kids. Like, I absolutely love like photos of kids. It's just what we decided was the best move for us. So I'm curious to hear what other people think, and how you guys are approaching it and how you guys are dealing with it. And yeah, that is why we are not sharing our son on social media. But I promise you, he's actually really freaking adorable. He's so cute. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. He's really annoying. I mean, all babies are annoying. He spat up today 3 times, which is like not fun, but he's really precious and really cute. And I'm growing up so fast. But yeah, hopefully you guys found this video interesting, informative, and hopefully it clarified some things. I am so very much looking forward to just linking to this video for anyone who asks me ever again why I'm not sharing my baby, because I kept on trying to like insert like, oh, watch the little, I think we talked about it in our birth story video, and I think I talked about it like in this Q&A. So now I just have one central place where I can just be like, here are the 3 different reasons why we're not sharing the kid. So if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Even if you don't necessarily agree with what I said, feel free to give this video a thumbs up, because it started a conversation. At least it opened up some dialogue, you know, at least. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys in next week's video. Bye.